This is my life with albinism.
Now, this is my life with albinism.
And this is my life with albinism.
Welcome back to another episode of Life with Albinism podcast. I'm your host, Dale. Okay, and we have a special guest today. We've actually never had this man on our podcast before, so we're happy to finally have him. We're going to let him introduce himself.
What is up, everyone? This is S.N VERSE, and I am a poet, artist, and creator with albinism. I also teach and provide just a general sense of joy through poetry, art, and music for the masses. If you haven't heard me, you can always find me on Instagram at s.n.verse. That's VERS. We don't believe in E's at the end.
Okay, so let's get right into it. So you do poetry. Did you prepare some poetry for us today that we can hear?
Well, no, I didn't prepare anything right now. I'm gonna just be honest. I did not come ready to perform. However, like everyone else, they have the poetry on the phone, so I can always
Give us something.
give
Give us
you
a
a
little
little
bit of something. So
give
that,
you a little something here. Let me just I have to ah, and I will go ahead and do that the best that I can. Now, what is interesting about the poetry that I write
Mhm.
is I want to give a slice of experience and a slice of life, not just for myself, but for the reader, because to me, the art, while it is in a lot of ways about the artist, it's shouldn't be all about the artist. And so I try to make things relatable to other people because if other people see themselves in your work, they're going to read more. They're going to listen to more of it. So with that said, a few weeks ago, I had written I had written a piece that I posted on my Instagram called "My Letter to Albinism." Now it's a little bit long for this, but what I will do is I can always read an excerpt from it, and then all of your listeners can always jump on my Instagram and check out the poem in full.
Okay. So give
And
us a small segment of it, and then we're going to tag it into our description for this video, so that all of the viewers can go and hear the full version.
okay, all right, letter to albinism. Dear albinism, it took me years of stacked minutes to wipe away the tears. Tears erode into scars on my skin. Invisible scabs reopen. Words don't hit, they hurt. They make sharp, clumsy cuts and uneven tears. White boy calls me from my childhood like a slogan, a reminder that I am and will always be the whitest in the room. The sound of similarities makes no difference when you're different. White boy, you are a man now. New seasons in bloom. Albinism, you have forced me to see differently, to learn to be ignorant and unknowing, uncaring, and unnourishing of ignorance behind others' eyes.
All right, all right.
Oh,
So, guys, if you want to check out the full version of that, we're going to leave the link in the description below. So go ahead and tell us how you got into poetry.
okay, well, I wish it was some sort of highbrow kind of way. I wish it was about, finding my deeper self or manifesting gratitude or anything like that. But no, it wasn't. It was about it was really about getting attention of girls. So, getting attention with girls, possibly with the hope of getting laid. So this started in high school.
You started poetry to possibly get laid?
I mean, yeah.
Explain that.
So, you know, the thing is, you always had to have something. And one thing I learned early on was that girls, women, they like lyrics. They like being spoken to nicely, and being a wordsmith, it encouraged me that as I was in school, as I was in high school, and really toward the end of middle school, learning about different poetic forms, what I started doing was really just adapting other people's stuff into my own. Now, granted, it was crap, by what I would call by my standards today, if I was to look back at any of that stuff, but it was that spark that encouraged me to move further and further with my poetry and with my writing. In addition to other arts, because I did other art, and it was a really good outlet, and it was a way that sort of built up my confidence to be able to, I guess, speak to the young ladies at the time. So
did it work?
did it work? I mean,
Did
just
you
like
get
anything
laid?
else, it had mixed results, right? So, so this is a story. It's not mine that I heard. This is a story that I have here, and it's you know, it's like about a buddy of mine in a way, right? But and
hold
we
on,
all
hold on, hold on. Before you start that, right?
uh,
Did you actually get laid from your poetry? Unless,
Well, I mean-
that's the main thing I want. Like, I don't want to beat around the bush with this, because if you tell me yes,
well,
I'm gonna bust out a pen and a paper. You
Well-
know what I'm
well,
saying?
well, listen,
Like,
well,
I'm gonna be on
well,
my Romeo and Juliet. Like,
well, listen,
you feel what I'm saying?
well, listen,
Like,
pun intended, right? Because you said beat around the bush,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, the thing about it, just like anything else, right? You're not good at anything else at things in the beginning. So the answer to that no was a resounding failure, right? But you
Okay.
keep trying.
Okay,
And
eventually,
so-
did you hit your mark?
Oh, absolutely. Because the thing about it is,
So you got laid.
yeah,
from
the,
your
the,
poetry.
the thing about it is,
That's what I wanted to know.
Right.
Is-
Eventually, did you get laid from the poetry?
eventually I have a child because of my
There
poetry.
you go.
But
right?
beyond that. Right?
Beyond that,
Before the child.
Yeah,
Because I know,
did it
we
lead
know
up
that you're
to it?
married. We 100%
Right.
respect that.
Yes, yes.
Before
But-
marriage came into play, did the poetry get you laid?
oh, absolutely. Because the
And
thing
tell us
about
how. Like,
Yeah.
tell us how do you
So-
run up on a girl that's pretty and like, y'all got this poem for you?
okay, so there was this girl in college, right? And this wasn't before I went to college. So there's this girl in college, and she was in a class of mine, and I kind of liked her. So what happened was she she had an argument or so with her boyfriend. They'd kind of broken up, and so I had to just pounce on that,
Okay,
right?
okay.
She broke up with a guy. I'm not the guy that would say, hey, maybe you and him should work it out.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah,
he
yeah.
gave her a poem as well. And she's like, oh, he wrote me this poem. And it's like a 4-page poem. I'm like, this is 4 pages of garbage.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
yeah.
to say it like that, but I can write you a poem much better if you just give me 10 minutes of your time, right? And I wrote her a poem. And needless to say, later on that evening, we were walking down the street, right? Her ex-boyfriend was calling her. And she just told him to walk on, right?
Now, how old were you when this happened?
Yeah.
I mean, I was old enough. I was over. I was well into the age of majority. I was.
Well, I mean,
I was
I'm just
21.
trying to figure. You was high?
21.
Okay, okay.
Oh,
early
okay,
20s,
okay,
early
wow,
20s. Cool,
okay.
cool.
Yeah, so I was
Nice.
21 by that
Okay,
time. I was in
so-
college.
Nice.
Now, was that a one-time thing, or did you get other?
Oh, I mean, no.
bodies
There was
from the
there was always other opportunities that came because of it. Because the thing is, you start doing, open mics. You start
Yeah,
doing
yeah, I was about to say,
Oh,
various things.
Oh.
You start putting yourself out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, women like that. So obviously, I mean, like, in the beginning, I started off with like doing just erotic poetry. And for me, it was not like how like how you hear a lot of these songs and stuff now. They're really just so explicit with it, so they don't really say what they're trying to say or what they're trying to do in an
Yeah,
artful
yeah,
way.
yeah.
So I've always tried to say and do in a more artful way
So you started
wherever
with
I can.
erotic poetry.
That's where I started with. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Erotic poetry.
Yeah, so
And
that's
then where would you put it? Would you like be on Facebook and like record yourself speaking it, or would you
so
put it on a forum site, or like,
so
where would you?
I used to like write it on Facebook
Uh,
back in the day, and I remember one time in 2009 I had written a Facebook to a poem, and it was published, and I had written it to an ex at the time, and then somebody jumped on and said that I stole their work, that I plagiarized, and
Did you?
oh, absolutely not, absolutely not. I never really felt it necessary to do so. Now, artists
Okay.
can borrow inspiration.
Yeah.
Like let's say if they say, okay, someone is using an instrument to describe, the playing an instrument to describe the act of making love to a woman, right?
Right.
The
Like,
person who may have accused me of saying something like that, yeah, they weren't the first person that did anything like that either,
yeah,
right? I used the piano. This person claimed in their poem that they used the guitar, what have you. And I just thought it was BS because it didn't really matter to me that they were in this mindset that I was copying off of them. So the good thing about it is at the time I was going to college, and I had a couple of professor friends and so on, and then I said, okay, well, you know what? If you're gonna take me to court, take me to court. So then, so then it came down to, okay, well, how about we just find you and beat you up? I said, well, cool. You just admitted in writing
yeah.
a physical threat to me. So either bring your poem to court if you feel like I copied off of you,
Yeah.
you
But,
know,
You was trying.
but
You was
quick
trying to
question.
take
So
the legal action.
yeah. Or if anything were to happen to me, I can just say that it was you.
Yeah.
okay, so quick question. So you used to post it on Facebook,
I used to post it on Facebook. Yeah.
just Facebook, or was there like poetry sites?
No, I didn't go on poetry sites or anything like that.
And you
I
would do stand up. You would do like.
I
open
honestly
mics?
was quite shy about a lot of things, to be
Okay.
honest. Especially if I was going up there and I'm reading something that I haven't fully memorized
Yeah.
yet. Because
Because of
the
your
f-
vision, like
because
having to
of, yeah
hold
because
it
of because of
close.
my nearsightedness,
Yeah.
Okay.
and
So speak on that. How was that like when you were doing open mic poetry and you had to be up there and read from it? How was that?
well, generally, what I would do is try and remember
Okay.
That been a big help.
as much as I could. Now also in the modern era we have the teleprompter app,
Yeah.
so I would just usually make it as large as I can, and
read off of
and
it
and
like
read it
that.
off of it
Okay.
that way. Read off of it like how a politician would read off of a teleprompter.
Gotcha.
And so
Oh, I was gonna say, you
yeah.
know what's so crazy? That's what got me into memorizing. Because my vision wasn't good enough to read from a paper at a comfortable distance.
Yeah.
So whenever I had like a project or something like that at school, I would always memorize the paper so I wouldn't have to get up there and be like this and read from it. You know what I mean? What about you, Avery? Have you ever been, whether it be school or anything like that, have you ever been in a situation where you had to like memorize the material because you didn't want to look too close at it while speaking?
It probably is. I don't remember though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, memorizing the things, it is definitely a useful skill
Yeah.
to have, and especially when you're doing poetry. Now the thing is, a lot of times, like when you are writing poetry, especially when you're writing for collections, like I'm currently working on a collection now, and if you do check out my Instagram, you're gonna find that I have a lot of poems that start off like letters, and that's really the motif of the entire collection. So there are things that are going to be on Instagram. There are things that are going to just be on the book, and there are things that may show up in other publications. So you're going to find that. But when you're writing large volume for a collection, it becomes harder to memorize because you're writing more volume for a larger collection. Now, if you're just a spoken word artist, then maybe you might write 12 poems for the year, and you're gonna put it into an audio album compilation. That brings um that lowers the workload in terms of being able to memorize. It allows you to be able to memorize a lot faster because you have like you're literally putting out less volume for publication. But my work rate with the poetry is high because I've got to write the content, put the content out there on Instagram, and on TikTok and other sites. But then I'm also submitting other poetry that is not going to be on Instagram or TikTok for submissions at other publications and for awards. Then at the same time, then also I'm writing other things for that collection. So the work rate is high, and so that's why I always have to now rely more on the teleprompter app. And thank God for iPads and things like that. That just makes the reading process um,
Faster.
much faster, especially if you have anyone out there that's thinking about doing poetry.
What advice would you give to someone that has albinism who wants to do poetry or any kind of spoken word, whether it be poetry, music, but they're kind of shy because of their albinism? What advice would you give?
I would say keep doing it. Um, if you want to get your work out there, but you're apprehensive about being seen on camera, or you're apprehensive about being seen in a crowd, right? And you can always do. There's always the faceless YouTube channels. There's always people that you can write for that you know. You can submit things to forums. You can submit things to blogs and online publications. You're gonna get a lot of no's, especially when you go the traditional publishing route. Way more no's than you're gonna get yeses. But all that's gonna just do is sharpen you up. Everyone, like I think one of my favorite authors, just regular authors, not poetic authors, but one of my favorite regular authors is Stephen King. And that's one of the
Nice.
things he talks
Okay.
about is the amount of rejections that you get when you're starting out. And and that's just a normal part of the process. It's better to do it that way because social media sometimes has people, especially when they get their own following, that they put stuff out. It might not be their best work, but they're having everyone saying rah rah rah, this is the
Yeah.
best work. So now you go in with that inflated sense, it's the best work, and you send it to a publisher and you start getting no's,
Yeah.
and then you're getting ready to
It
hang
just
it all up.
so basically, in a sense, it just builds character.
It builds character,
That's
thickens up your
that's
skin.
yeah, that's your craft. You just gotta perfect your craft in
Mhm.
anything you do, not just
That's
poetry
yeah,
or
not just
but
poetry and art, photography, anything that you're doing, that you're putting, I would say, an element of
effort and
yourself.
passion into.
Yeah.
And I,
As
I
well.
think that that's like really good advice. You're pretty much telling them don't give up, just keep going, keep working at it,
Yeah.
and keep putting yourself out there, and they will eventually get over it.
Definitely.
So now, before we close out, I want you to give the people your Instagram one more time and where they can find all of your poetry.
Okay, so it is S.N verse VERS. There is no E, and why I say that is because ver is the French word for verse, as well as worm. But but you can find me at SN Ver on TikTok and Instagram as well. You can also find some of my audio pieces on Apple Music and wherever you find your podcast. You can Google search SN Ver, VERS again, and you would find me first page results on Google. So you're going to find some of the things there. I've been on some open mics as well. And also, you can check out Rising Phoenix Rising Phoenix Press. I had a piece, a deeply reflective piece, on that as well. So you can find that, and all that is through my Instagram. So I'm really happy and really looking forward to the love from there. And Dale and Avery, thank you very much for having me on Life with Albinism. It's a pleasure, and I really do love what you do. I wish that the show was available when I was young and coming up and didn't really believe that, you know, I was going to be anything more than my nearsightedness and my lack of pigment. So thank you very much for the work that you guys do.
Yeah. appreciate that. We definitely appreciate the love, and you know what I'm saying. And we here trying to spread as much love to our community, and you know everyone else that doesn't know the knowledge of having albinism. So we trying to just shed some light on everybody. You know what I'm saying. But mostly we trying to help our community itself. You know what I'm saying. So we appreciate you.
And the great thing about it too, we all got the style memo in terms of the haircut and the beard length.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right, so
I just shaved mine down. Y'all's a little longer than mine. See, I just
Well, another amazing episode of Life with Albinism podcast.
Oh, hold on, my fault. Before you even close out, my fault. You said you do open mic. Where do you do open mics at and when?
okay, so
That's what I wanted to say.
I can give some shout outs. So I have a friend of mine, buddy of mine called Sick Fat Tight, all one word, PHAT, and he does a lot of open mics and variety shows.
In the
So
city where we're at.
so you can find him. Now what we do is we do it throughout. He does different locations in Brooklyn
Okay.
as well.
Do you have
Sometimes in the city. One of the places, I can't really remember the name of the place right now, but we've been going to that one lately in Manhattan,
Okay.
and so just on my Instagram, you're gonna find some of my
Do you have the address with
location there. I mean, I'm kind of on
Not
the
now,
spot
not
on this
now,
one,
not-
but
we
yeah,
gotta,
yeah.
but I do
gotta-
have that, and I can get that out to you guys. But also, Sick Fat Tight on
Gotcha.
Instagram, all one word.
Right, another amazing episode of Life with Albinism podcast.
Sir.
We thank you guys for watching this episode. Please go to lifewithalbinism.com. You can check out all of our merch, all of our new episodes, and everything we got going on.